favorites to say the least. And for AHQ, again, a team that has been on this stage multiple times, looking to make it another round further. Odds are stacked against them. But if any team can do it, I think it has to be AHQ.
Yeah, and AHQ, last year at Worlds, they didn't make it out of the group stages. They looked like they could. There was some back and forth, but they've definitely put the LMS region on the map for just casual players and casual viewers of League of Legends. You can't ignore this region.
I just still cannot get over how good Westor's hair looked today. That thing was, like, absolutely monstrous.
It was on point.
You've got to look good to feel good and play good.
I think what excites me for this matchup is that throughout the entire year, SKT has been such a dominant team that they're the ones that set the meta. Whatever they do usually gets adopted across all regions. They're saying, is Faker playing a new champion? Everybody's got to run it. Irelia mid, the Varus, all these kind of stuff gets brought out. People want to innovate it. And all the remaining teams in the tournament want to see what SKT is doing and see if there's anything that they can adapt to and include in their playstyle, whether they win or lose today.
All right, so let's jump into this matchup and talk shop. SK Telecom versus AHQ. SKT are widely seen as the favorites to take the Summoners Cup, and their record backs that up. 6-0 out of the group stage.
Yeah, SK Telecom, they look like an extraordinarily dominant team, but a lot of that does come from the mid lane here. You see Faker versus Westor's today's matchup there, and it's almost polar opposites right here. Faker loves to dominate the lane and has a large champion pool, but then on the opposite side, Westor has a relatively small champion pool. All of his champions want to do almost the same thing, and he tends to leave lane and fall behind because he's roaming and trying to affect the rest of the map. He's a resource that they put in other lanes to get them ahead to win those matchups.
Which is another reason why I think SKT has this game pretty handily, because if Westor's going to try to roam, Bengi is the guy that really revolutionized vision jungling. Back in Season 3, he really started the game with the whole mobility boots, sightstone, and then just be at the right place, right time. That's what I'm expecting him to do here, and I don't think Westor is really going to be able to roam around undiscovered. Should be a pretty easy way to just punish him in lane even harder, and we saw just how hard Faker can really shut down somebody that's just an inch behind in the laning phase.
But you do have to look at the last time these teams played, and Westor didn't play that style. He played the Cho'Gath. It was against EasyHoon, so a completely different SKT. You have to remember they were using their substitute, but he did go for more of the team fight, safe laning phase, farm up, be nice and big in the late game.
He also got banned out towards that.
Yeah, exactly right. But I think that he does have another style he can play there, and he has shown it throughout the LMS. The carries that I want to look at are probably the AD carries in this matchup, because I just think that Bang especially is having like a once-in-a-lifetime tournament. The guy's died once in 6 games. Like, he's an absolute monster at the moment, and it's not like he's playing safe. This guy's in your face. He's willing to dish out all of the damage. He's on a 27-game win solo queue at the moment. Anything he touches.
100?
I don't know if he can hit 100 KDA.
Can he get 100?
So difficult to do. And like, Westor is just going to play an assassin, and even if it comes down to it, he'll be like, I'll just kill you once.
Kill him.
Just one time.
Yeah, and then you've got on the other side of the rift, arguably the reason that AHQ made it this far is this guy is also having a fantastic tournament, and you know, his Jinx play was absolutely stellar. He's been able to, once again, dish out all of this damage, and he's nearly a walking highlight reel himself. You can see in this clip, he's like flashing Malphite ultimates, picking up quadra kills off the back of it. His positioning has been flawless, and that is what you need out of your AD carry going up against a player like Marin in the top lane.
Looking at just the teams and how they progressed throughout the group stage, a trend in AHQ was the fact that they were not able to adapt on the fly to what was being thrown at them. In the game against Cloud9, they really didn't understand what Veigar did. They couldn't put the Rengar together. Some games, they really weren't able to close them out very quickly. And against a team like SKT, where Faker has such a diverse champion pool that can really change how the game is played. So if you had an Olaf mid and Azir, those are very different things and new things, exception not the Azir, of course. But AHQ's tendencies, they're really going to have to adapt on the fly. And it's, you know, it's very difficult because throughout their entire LMS, that has been the trend. That's why their games are so snowbally. Either they get it or they don't.
And something about both of these teams is they both seem to adopt skirmish styles. SKT is extraordinarily powerful when they have 2-on-2s and 3-on-3s, but the same thing seems to go for AHQ. They both play relatively short game times, with SKT having the fastest. But also an interesting statistic here for SKT is they have the average least wards placed per minute out of all quarterfinal teams. but they sweep the most of their enemy's vision. So they're looking for these skirmishes in blind spots that the enemy has. So they're doing a great job of setting up their fights ahead of time, and that's why SKT is having these 29-minute games and just shutting people out. Also, their group stage, relative to the teams that they were facing, wasn't exactly the hardest group for them either.
Yeah, the thing that made me completely terrified of SKT coming into this tournament was their weakness used to be if you hit them hard early, they do stall out the game. We saw it at MSI and try and come back at you. This time when EDG was trying to hit them early, EDG was getting aced, and they're one of the better teams in the tournament of hitting teams early. AHQ is the other team that can potentially do that around the 13-minute Dragon fights. So game one, I think, will be super telling. If AHQ go at them super hard and get aced at the 13-minute Dragon fight, I don't know if they have another strategy to be able to pull these games out to a longer length.
We have seen AHQ come back in late-game team fights, though, with some extraordinary kind of picks. I loved the composition they ran where you couldn't really select a good target, right? You had the Elise who can repel. You had the Fizz who can just playful trickster and Zhonya's. And then Albus brought out the Tahm Kench to protect On. I love this champion. I want to see it here today. And I want to see what Albus can do to supplement what On is doing and help out the team.
I just want to run through a few statistics, see what this sparks in anybody. Dominant statistics here for SKT. Second fastest game time at Worlds, 29 minutes and 9 seconds. So that's incredibly fast for an average game time. They have 5 of 6 first bloods, first towers, first golds, and gold leads at 15 minutes. They've taken 52 towers to their opponent's total 10. They've taken 18 dragons to their opponent's total 1, and 7 barons to their opponent's total 0. So their macro game, their control over the map, and the leads they build early is clearly very sound.
Let's just hit the game time is the one that I want to hit first. So 29 minutes average, and they were quicker against the best team in their group. Against EDG, they were like 28-22 or something like that. This team is terrifying when it comes to game length.
The fact that they're getting those early towers as well, and they have 95% dragon control, is astounding. Because usually in lane swaps, you're like, okay, I'll get the tower first, and then I'll sacrifice the dragon for it. That has not happened to SKT just yet. They're having complete map dominance, even when it looks like there's a weak side of the map for them.
What I've enjoying about this team is that they don't seem to fit the meta of the entire tournament. They have other picks for the top lane. They've played Rumble, Renekton, Fiora more than any other team. And for the mid lane, they're the only team that has really brought out the Ryze. And Ryze with Teleport is the only pick in the mid lane that currently offers just as much kill pressure as another mage that has another combat summoner.
All right, well, the question is then, where can AHQ poke holes in SKT's early game and larger game control? One of the ways they might be able to do that is with a new champion. We saw one yesterday with Caitlyn pushing the record up to 70, so we want to ask you guys, what champion do you want to see make their debut at Worlds next, and why? We'll be checking in on what you're saying throughout the day, so tweet at LoL Esports and throw on the hashtag Worlds. Gentlemen, know it's time to get your predictions on the books. SKT versus AHQ. Crumbs, we're going to start with you.
Of course, I have to go with SKT for this one. Bengi's the guy that I look up to in the jungle in terms of improving my own play style. And I mean, I have to go for this team. This is probably going to be a 3-0, but I do expect AHQ to put up a fight and maybe get a bit of a kill lead in the early game, but probably fall down in CS and Global Gold.
All right. Irene?
In terms of putting up a fight, I like to think SKT is just Mike Tyson in his prime, right? Extraordinarily fast, extraordinarily strong. And AHQ is me. I might poke him in the eye one time. I'm 6'2". I got some reach.
Yeah, I was going to say, what is your reach? That's
but
your
he's
only
going to
chance.
knock me out so fast I won't even remember my own name. I have to go with SKT here. They've been looking so dominant throughout the entire tournament, and even before that as well, in the LCK.
A little dissent from the crowd. At the end of the series, I'll ask you what your name is, see if you remember. Spawn.
Yeah, I'm going with SKT as well. I feel like I have to take some of the low-hanging fruit to get my track record back to...
Cowards! You're all cowards!
In saying that, I actually think that if a team will take a game off SKT this whole tournament, like the whole thing, I wasn't expecting them to drop anything, I actually think it was going to be AHQ. The reason being is I honestly think this team is explosive when they get a lead. They don't have any fear. They're like machines. They just as soon as they get anything, they just want to attack, attack, attack. And I think that can surprise a team.
And Dash?
I don't, my name wasn't on that graphic. What are you talking about? I don't have to pick. Well, these guys were unanimous on the desk and not risk takers, apparently. So now to get the games underway, let's head over to the caster booth after hearing a little more about the man in the bot lane that helped carry AHQ to today's quarterfinal.
他是什么样的一个人？他是一个 平常看起来很混的人，但是他重要表现的时候都表现得很好。
The engage is flashed away. Arn stays alive and Albus throws on the Maelstrom.
You can't make that move in full vision and think Arn will not flash it. He's been playing on point.
那个会战是因为我们先逼巴龙嘛，然后就是逼他们过来打架，然后就是因为是在正面开战的情况，所以我就是一直盯着石头人看而已，然后就躲掉。
I can't speak highly enough of this AD carry. So many people talk about what they do on the top side of the map and what Westor does in the mid lane, but their bottom lane has shown time and time again that they are legitimate threats at every single part of the game.
Albus gets stunned up. On flashes forward, the last auto attack calculated right there.
The team has showed an extraordinary amount of faith in their bottom lane, putting him on carries like Jinx and repeatedly going back to On for those late game fights and saying, we trust that you will carry us.
Elimination, Black shields himself. Holy cow, a big engage and a triple kill for the AHQ AD carry.
AHQ 지금 이번에 조별예선 경기를 보면은 굉장히 뛰어난 경기를 보여줬는데 그 바탕이 항상 그 AHQ 안 선수의 원딜 바텀 캐리가 기초가 됐었거든요.
Kakao though caught out of position. On has to rocket jump away. Kakao goes back down. On gets a crit and takes him out of the fight.
비단 징크스뿐만이 아니라 안 선수는 한국 솔로 랭크에서도 되게 상위권에 위치한 적이 있는 걸 보면은 전체적인 원딜로서 뛰어나다고 생각해요. 전체적으로.
这种感受其实还蛮棒的，可是能不能维持就要看自己的实力可不可以固定在这个阶段这样。当然希望自己会成为让大家都知道的人，然后尽自己最大的能力。